Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on the YouTube account and we're looking at the Thorin cheese. So this is a team comp that we've actually used for quite a bit. So we're going to break it down and kind of show you how it works. There was a lot of questions when we did our live stream, so I wanted to kind of show you. So main key is Thorin, guys. Now I would not take him to the plus 30 engraving. I would leave him at no engraving. Looking at signature item, you have to have it unlocked for this retaliation ability to work. Taking him to a plus 30 signature item is going to be a requirement because he will actually focus the retaliation skill twice. So what does the retaliation skill do? It takes the damage that he's receiving, it kicks it back to the enemy, which allows him to do an insane amount of damage. And the big reason we're talking about this today is the Thorin cheese for a lot of players, because of the 9 days, almost 10 days of level nerfs that we have seen, a lot of players cannot utilize the Thorin cheese anymore, or it is incredibly difficult. Now, some of the things you can do to, and it is a little bit dependent on the team formations. Removing the chest piece, removing the helmet will allow Thorin to take more damage. Two really artifacts of choice. One, Dura's Call will give him the energy to ult to bring up that retaliation ability. The other artifact that a lot of players do use is Dura's Eye. Big reason for that, guys, is the crit, and of course the crit damage. Critical strikes deal 30% more damage, so if he is able to cheese successfully, it is going to do a significant amount of damage. Now, to go with this formation, the two most common heroes that he is run with, number one is Keltar. So Keltar doesn't require a really big build out. Big thing with him is you do want his ability to actually swap places with a hero on the other side. Now, the big thing with Keltar that really sets him apart from other heroes is when he dies, he comes back as a Spectre. So he actually comes back with Ethereal Resurgence. He actually comes back as a Spectre and will continue to do damage while Thorin has all the enemies around him. He will take out targets, and he can take out targets that are further within the formations or actually outside of the formation as he continues to do damage. Now, if a hero dies during that retaliation phase, it will actually give Keltar Spectral Resurgence, more hit points. So when he dies, he actually goes into that spectral form. His hit points just kind of tick down gradually, which if a target dies, it will give him a little bit of hit points back, which is the reason why we have been building him up. With the Thorin cheese, it does make a difference when it comes to the stats that he picks up once he is dead with that Spectral Resurgence. Now, the second hero that we always see him with is Lorizen, and the big thing with Lorizen, guys, is the link. So linking the furthest and closest enemy together is really a way to make the cheese work, because if you have a backline enemy and you do not have a way to bring that backline enemy actually to the front line or surrounding Thorin, such as a caster, this can actually link, again, those two enemies together. When Thorin does damage to one enemy, it will hit the other enemy taking a considerable amount of damage. Now, also in addition, using Keltar within that formation will allow Keltar a lot of times to take out that target, which again is very cool to see. Now, some of the other heroes that kind of go a little bit with the RNG factor with this is, one is Pipa. So Pipa is actually used as a portal, the ancestral shift. So it actually takes Thorin and it can move him around the battle, which is why a lot of people do love to use Pipa. It does, again, have a little bit of RNG, but you can see Pipa cannot fail to cast if she is in the center back line. A lot of players do drop her center back line to port Thorin on top of the enemies, which again, just kind of put all of the heroes together around Thorin is really what you're looking to do within this formation itself. So another hero that players do use is Azir. He is utilized for the energy factor right here with the Mental Fury. So allies recover 50 energy points every 30 seconds. Even if he dies, they still get a energy regeneration, which is good. He's a very good energy battery. You don't want the rest of his skills really working. Another thing that they do utilize him for is Feeble Mind. So you can actually bring far enemies away closer to Azir. So if you're dropping Azir in position, let's say 3 or 4, which we'll look at in just a minute, it can actually bring further targets right into Thorin's range, again, stacking heroes right on top of Thorin, which works very well. Another one that we see used not as much is Nara. Nara has the ability, again, to use the Impale effect, can grab a specific hero, bring them right over, stacking them on top of Thorin. We've even went as far as some heroes or some players will use Iran to literally pull the entire team like a 5-pull, pulling all of the non-melee targets right into Thorin, but I do not recommend it because ultimately that is not very effective, especially when it comes to multiple teams. So Thorin, guys, and finally, a lot of players do use Rain. Big thing with Rain, guys, is the 3 of 9 furniture. So really the utilization rate here, marking up an enemy and allowing the enemy to be dealt 30% more damage. Some of the very tough tank targets that have a high defense rating, the 30% damage here can make a really big difference when it comes to the Thorin comp. So just running through some of the formations, guys, and again, it all revolves around kind of the 3 main heroes, which is Keltar, which is Thorin, and then of course built on Lorizen. Now, depending on the formation of this is dependent on the melee heroes that you have within the formation. So if you do have melee heroes, let's say, you know, in the 1, 2, 3 formation, which it might be easier to kind of show you in an actual formation. And the other reason why Thorin Cheese sometimes doesn't work, which this is the formation we're utilizing it for, is looking at this formation. This is actually a winning formation that we've seen. So Lorizen is going to link 2 targets, which we'll see right here. I will slow it down. So Sophia is linked in the back to Antandra, meaning that they are going to have that link for the remainder of the battle. So when Thorin does the cheese effect right here on Antandra, Sophia, you can see, actually died out in the back due to the fact that it was that cheese aspect. And there we go. We lost our Keltar right there, but it was a defeat. The reason that you want to utilize this team, and I would probably switch this one up just a little bit, is because of that retaliation ability. So looking at the teams here, you want to make sure that the team that you're putting in for the Thorin Cheese is a burst team. So looking in here, guys, you have heroes like Athalia, you have heroes like Antandra. Both of those heroes are going to be doing a considerable amount of damage, and they do damage really fast, which is what you're looking for. When you look at heroes like Zafriel, when you look at heroes like Athalia, when you look at heroes overall that do a significant amount of damage and do a very significant amount of damage fast, the burst, the more damage Thorin is going to take, again, the better within formations. Now, that can also be true when it comes to level deficiencies. So this is, again, the big thing that we've been looking at right now, is a lot of players cannot use the Thorin Cheese because of the level deficiencies. Even here, we're at about 104. So as we continue through chapter 39, the level deficiency got down to about 50 because they keep nerfing the levels. The closer that you get to the levels, the more difficult it is, because essentially the enemy team is not doing as much damage, meaning that the retaliation ability is not going to be as strong. The same is true when you start getting into level deficiencies. So once we start getting into the very end of this campaign or the very end of this chapter, you can see the levels are significantly higher. So the probability of the Thorin Cheese working is going to be much higher when it comes to level deficiencies, because again, the enemy formations are doing more damage, which allows Thorin in turn to do more damage. Now, for a lot of formations, the Thorin Cheese will work. The big thing, again, looking at the damage Thorin takes in the level deficiencies, is the amount of attempts. And that's exactly what we were kind of talking about today. If you caught the live stream, the Thorin Cheese, we got to work, and we got it to work in several different team comps, which is good. But ultimately, when you're looking at the damage that he's taking, again, the more damage, the better, and the less likely it's going to be, you know, the multiple formations or the multiple times. Now, if you're running, you know, 50 to 80 level deficiency, which some of the players we're talking about today with the Thorin Cheese, they've ran it hundreds of times and it doesn't work. When you see players, you know, 120 to 150 level deficiency, much easier. When you see levels running a 200 player deficiency, which is very high, the Thorin Cheese works naturally all the time because the enemies are dealing a significant amount of damage. So guys, that'll do it for tonight's video. I hope it helps some. Again, we were seeing a lot of questions about the Thorin cheese, so I really did want to cover it. Some of the formations. And again, it's really knowing the hero and knowing the team comps you're fighting, because you have to have that massive amount of burst damage. If you're fighting teams with Inoki, if you're fighting them with Gorvo, if you're fighting them with a lot of the stronger shielding heroes, a majority of the time the Thorin cheese will not work because of the mitigating factors that they have out there. All right, guys, so let me know in the comments what you guys think. Again, just a quick overview of the Thorin cheese, and as always, thank you guys for watching.